I'm gonna lay my burden down. Sooner or later, sooner or later, I'm gonna lay my burden down. When I get my freedom, set my feet on solid ground. No more crying, trials and tribulation. Just gonna lay my burden down. Burden down, y'all. I'm gonna lay my burden down. No more crying, trials and tribulation. I'm gonna lay my burden down. When I get my freedom, set my feet on solid ground. Sooner or later, everybody gonna gather around. No more crying, trials and tribulation. Just gonna lay my burden down. Burden down, y'all. I'm gonna lay my burden down. Burden down, y'all. Burden down, y'all. I'm gonna lay my burden down. Sooner or later, I'm gonna lay my burden down. Sooner or later. Whoa, whoa, wow, wow, wow. Burden down, y'all. I'm gonna lay my burden down. Burden down. Just gonna lay my burden down. Say sooner or later. Oh, sooner or later. Oh, sooner or later. I'm gonna lay my burden down. Burden down, y'all. I'm gonna lay my burden down.
Hey everybody, welcome to Big Blend Radio with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith, the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine and Parks and Travel magazine. Check them all out at bigblendmagazines.com. You just heard Burden Down, Burden Down. It's the second track from the album Modern Ancestors. It is out now by jazz vocalist, composer, and artist Carmen-Lundy. You can go get it. Go to carmenlundy.com. Check out her art as well. She's an amazing artist and an amazing, amazing woman, and we're so glad to have her back. We first interviewed her with her album Soul to Soul and then Code Noir, and now we're thinking it could be the 15th album that she's put out. So welcome back, Carmen. How are you?
Hi, Nancy. Hi, Lisa. I'm really happy to talk with you guys again, and thanks for supporting me and following the journey. It just means a lot.
Oh, well, we love it.
Oh,
We love your
pleasure.
music and your art as well.
Mhm.
And is that kind of an interesting thing with your art? I know she gets stuck in your website with your art. She does. She gets all stuck in there. But does music influence your art?
Yes. But it's sort of like subconscious. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's not like I write this song and go, oh, I should do some piece about the song. It doesn't work like that. I think I think the music is such an intense, multi-layered, multifaceted way of arriving at an end result. I think the art is a release from it. It's sort of like I need to come out and like kind of be away from the music, and the art does that for me. So when I go back to the work and the music, I'm fresher. I hear things a little differently. It's not like I'm, so absorbed that I don't have a perspective anymore. So I get a perspective doing the artwork, and it also, I think they both are influenced by what's going on around us. My personal experience and what I'm observing along with everyone else in the times we live in. So there are a lot of different things that inspire both, and so they are definitely, particularly on this recording, where the album cover was actually developing, the artwork was actually developing at the same time I was working on the record.
Wow.
Your art seems, to me at least, it says that it's kind of like you're saying, I can find music in anything.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Especially this album. I mean, you talk about the multi-layers, and that's what's so interesting about jazz. I mean, Burden Down, to me, like, I would love to put you with, because I think you're like the Nina Simone of today. That's how I look at your voice. Like, always
I appreciate that.
And I'd love to, like, the two of you performing that together would be just so awesome. It's one of my favorite. The sound is just, you're bridging that gap, and Modern Ancestors, I think, is so important, that just even the whole concept of that, it's very multi-layered, and you take us all over the world, to Brazil, to, take us to Miami, and then you bring us on back. It's like you're taking us everywhere.
Did you put us on TV?
I know. Well, she wants jazz on TV, everybody.
Okay. Can we just do that? Any time of day? Any time of day. Fine with me.
Jazz on TV. It's a great song too. We could talk about all the game shows and everything. I wonder, that's probably where they make most of their money, is people having game shows for some reason. That's the, Wheel of Fortune has jazz.
Yeah, I think that the advertisers kind of allow, they're trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
So I think the game shows is perfect. It's the right time of day, and it also is very much, I'm going to say, interactive, But I think it's sort of a kind of a cross-cultural way of reaching everybody to sell a product, which is great. And, I just don't understand why. I mean, there was a time when jazz artists had their own television program. So it's nothing that hasn't been done. It's just that we're not seeing it in these modern times, like in the last 20 years. I think David Sanborn had a television program maybe 25 years ago. I think it was the same set as Saturday Night Live. Don't quote me on that, but I'm almost sure that it was that same location. But I remember that show. I remember how wonderful it was and this is my generation now. I could talk about Nat King Cole's television program and Nancy Wilson and Barbara McNair, but that's kind of before I entered the professional side of the music. But, when I saw that, it just sort of like, okay, it made me feel like, wow, this is really worth going after and shooting for, because look at this guy.
Yeah.
He's got an audience, and it's really really good stuff. And he's getting airtime, full hour or more. So, yeah, I think it's kind of, someone has to really explain to me why this isn't happening, and nobody can. They'll have this.
It's odd.
Yeah, it's odd.
You're right. And when you hear jazz, for me now, when you hear jazz on TV, it's going to be like a rainy night in New York. It's always, it's not, that's what the film is going to be like, some in a speakeasy or someplace.
Oh,
like,
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
well,
that's what. Yeah, you
I
don't.
do hear it.
Yeah.
I do hear it, but it's not featured. It's sort of like
Yeah,
in a
like a
commercial.
show.
It's in the
or
background.
it's like, if you notice on the Tonight Show, when they do the cutaways to the commercials, the band there, whatever band it is, will play something. So the audience, the studio audience, might hear something, but it's not being broadcast. I remember on You know what I mean? On the Tonight Show, Doc Severinsen, Johnny Carson would actually give Doc Severinsen 5 or 7 minutes, then feature the band. They don't do that anymore.
We need to bring back Arsenio Hall. That's all I'm going to say. Like, period. Like, bring him back.
I'll take it.
Because well, Carmen, why don't you have your own Netflix show, right?
Yeah.
Well,
because
you know what I'm
TV's
doing?
going out.
That's so
Do
funny.
Netflix.
That's so interesting that you say that. I'm about to upload a program that I started with Rhonda Hamilton, the very well-known radio personality from WBGO radio station. Now she's at Sirius XM in Los Angeles, out of Los Angeles. And she just interviewed me for our very first Jazz Life presentation. And it's just an interview talk show kind of format where I wanted to talk about the record. So we just filmed it. And it was about a 2-hour conversation, and I did the editing myself, and we've gotten it down to about 30 minutes. So I'm going to be launching that. I'm in New York right now as I speak to you, but I'm on my way back to LA to open in San Francisco next week. So right in that little window before I open San Francisco, I'll be launching that. So look for that.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
See, this could be the start of it, you know?
Yeah.
And then
I think so.
Yeah, it'd be like the View, but the View of jazz, right? And then bring in all these, you know, because I'm seeing more and more jazz, you know, music come our way, you know, on the show, and we're getting. It seems like jazz is going all over, and all like listen to your album Modern Ancestors. You have a little bit of every root of jazz in there. And, you know, when I listen to jazz now, we're getting younger musicians with jazz and just different styles. And I'm seeing it kind of even in prog rock, like even this progressive music, they're using a lot of jazz. And at the end of the day, you don't have music without jazz touching it in some form, right? So
absolutely,
you could totally do a jazz Netflix View show.
Love what you're saying. That I absolutely love this. You got any contacts for me at Netflix?
Oh, you know, I'll just call Chelsea Handler. I don't know. I think, you know, or I could call Jane Fonda and you know.
Yeah. Let's go hang out with Jane Fonda.
Oh yeah, we'll get arrested. All right, that's good.
Oh.
Hey. Well, she's doing all that. That's interesting because you know, your song when you've got Eye of the Storm and you've got a video for that, everyone too, and I find that interesting because we are getting more and more storms across the country. Did you write it on that basis or just from your life being in Florida at one time?
Well, I definitely relate to that because I'm from Miami, and my family was utterly devastated by the storm in 1992, I believe, the Andrew storm. It really altered the lives of many of my family members. So, and whenever a new storm is lurking, everybody really has a kind of there's a nervous energy that floats up. So the last one that was threatening that, you know, the coast of Miami, I was in LA, sort of following the news, checking in on my folks, asking them who's staying where. Are you hunkered down? Are you going to a shelter? This sounds like another terrible situation about to unfold. And a way to kind of sit, you know, at home in LA before the fire things happened with us. I just went into my studio and started to write. And sort of a way to work through my anxiety of what my what my family was experiencing. So Eye of the Storm was literally written during the onset of that storm that actually turned and went north.
Yeah.
So they didn't get hit. Yeah. I can't remember the name of I think it might be Maria. I don't remember the name of this one exactly, but Eye of the Storm was inspired by that event.
Wow.
And it was written in the moment.
And there are a lot of them, and it seems that they're getting stronger. You know, we've been in some hurricanes when we lived in the Panhandle, and then we were West Palm Beach, Melbourne area, and going through the hurricanes. We've been through wildfires too, and it's really one of those, you know, Mama Nature's pissed, and she wants to. I feel like she always just through all of this wants to clean. I feel like she's house cleaning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
She's shaking her back.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, reminding us who's really in control.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's humbling, and it's devastating too, obviously. But it's interesting because even on your album, you go to Clear Blue Skies right after Eye of the Storm.
Right after.
So there's this
Yeah.
rebirth part of it. And Clear Blue Skies, I've written my notes here even that it feels like you're just dancing and jumping through the clouds. It's buoyant.
Yes,
it's a beautiful
that's
song.
it. That's all there is, and it just was one of those songs that was sort of like a personal message to my friend and great pianist Jerry Allen, who passed away.
Oh.
And she had a little rough period there, and it was sort of like a little personal message to her that, you say goodbye to those rainy days, the blues, the dark gray clouds, and it's just kind of a simple way of reassuring someone that things are going to be okay, that we'll really will weather this and we'll get through it, and you'll see, just let's hang in there. But that's also that kind of a message.
Yeah, it's true. And there is a moving on through it, and something else on the heavier side, but also incredibly beautiful is Flowers and Candles on the album. That you send a strong message, but you think about what's going on in the world, and and you think about the children.
Yes, I actually was on my way back from some, I think, European travel or some foreign place when I picked up the news feed about the attack in Paris. And then there was a story that came out of that about a little child and their fear, and the father and the child going out into the streets, and the child wanting to know, why are these flowers and candles here? What are they doing here? What is this? Particularly after the night of horror. So the dad was trying to explain to the kid why the flowers and candles are here. The dad could not come up with an answer. So the little kid says, so you mean that they're here to protect us, the flowers and the candles? And the dad was like, yeah. So I just love that. I love that interaction. I love the father reassuring the child. I love the generational aspect of it, how deeply it affects all of us, even the innocent, those of us who simply, all of us are really innocent, but the innocence from a child's perspective. So the song, that article really, really touched me. So that song was born out of that moment in our history. Yeah.
How do you explain things to kids now? I mean, that's, to me, how do you do that? I think that's the heavy part. What do you say with what's going on now? What do you say?
I think because there's so much violence on television that the need for explaining what happened isn't there. It's trying to explain why. But I think that kids today are so used to seeing violent things on television that they already expect something bad to happen.
But, that would be an interesting topic to take into a grade school. Just really find out what's on their minds. I haven't thought about that.
Well, the fear of even going to school,
Oh,
exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
That used to be the safe place. You never thought as a parent, when you send your child to school, that something bad is going to happen. You might worry about to and from school, but not in school.
That's correct.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that has certainly changed, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's sad in churches too.
In churches too. And Flowers and Candles is just a way to kind of resonate. That's resonating in all of our consciousness. There was just a simple way of putting it. That's really all I wanted to do.
Well, but your balance in I don't want to say tenure, the balance of the tension, the pain, and yet beauty, how you manage that is really just, it's right on spot. I mean, it's because it's a delicate thing, it's a delicate story, and yet beautiful, yet it's got that balance, and you really have that. Speaking of balance, okay, so your band, let's talk about your band, because I mean, the guitars, like, I'm like, there's a little Santana vibe, and then you got the percussion and the boom boom. You got some good bass, and the piano's like, to me, very Cuban style. Like, I feel like, okay, man, I'm going around. But you always kind of have this Latin vibe in your music.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's grooving. I had dinner last night at Victor's Cafe on 52nd and Broadway, and Victor's Cafe is one of the best Cuban restaurants in Manhattan, and I had dinner there, and somewhere halfway through my dinner, there was a conga, a bass, and percussion. Oh my God! It's like I want to get up and dance. You know?
Cool.
I just love Afro-Cuban music. I think it's really about dancing. It always has some kind of a forward momentum in it, the rhythm is not necessarily it's really based on the clave, not so much like the funk backbeat of the American urban kind of a groove and hip hop and stuff. It's really got that clave, which is a sort of a bridge between the African continent and the North American continent when we talk about rhythm. So for me, of also being exposed to the Afro-Cuban music through one of my musicians. When I lived in Miami, I hired a drummer. I didn't know he was Cuban, but I found out really fast, And then he introduced me to Myra Casales, and Myra is the only percussionist I've ever recorded with. So this is like, and she's also Cuban, but she's from Miami and now lives in New York. She has a group called Coco Mama. So I had to have Myra on this record. I mean, we recorded over my 15-year, as a leader, discography. So she's on everything. And she taught me a lot about that, the language, the rhythm of the language, the culture. I've never been to Cuba, but again, being born and raised in Miami, I've been very much exposed to the culture. And I speak a little Spanish myself, not enough to, to really like teach Spanish, but I do understand a lot of it. I love the Latin music, and of course Dizzy Gillespie was the first, is I guess maybe considered one of the pioneers of introducing the Afro-Cuban music into jazz. So and the percussionist at that time that he made friends with, his name is Chano Pozo, and Dizzy Gillespie and Chano Pozo collaborated and produced and introduced this whole other aspect that began to just kind of join the sound that we associate with jazz music. And it's very commonplace now. I also love the Brazilian, I talked about the South American continent and how that what they call the Angolan clave influenced all of what Brazilian music really is.
Really?
So yes, it's I can sing it to you, and you've heard it. You hear it in just about every song you ever hear. It's like da 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 da. That's the Angolan clave. And if you kind of look at the movement of how we become this new world, a lot of what we now wind up with is really contributions from other cultures. And that's not so, there's nothing new about what I'm saying. But it just so happens that in the genre of jazz music, I love the way this particular genre has incorporated and sort of fused, or if you will, I don't know the right word. I'm trying to say assimilated, but that's kind of watered down to say assimilated. But there is some influence, largely from other cultures, that has really helped us define the music alongside the time of when we went from swing to bebop. And I don't know if the general audience knows when I say things like swing and bebop, but if you don't, it's really easy to find out now because we have the internet and you can answer a lot of those questions very easily and very quickly. So all of those things have influenced me. The artists that have produced these sounds, I'm just like somebody in the audience that was really loving what I heard and took it back to my own, tried to put it in my own music, really.
You see, I love it. It's called the blend. That's your fusion.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. It's a big blend. Because, and I think.
A little spice.
Well, that's the thing. And
spice here and there.
The rhythms that you're talking about, to me, I call that wiggy butt. you know, wiggy butt is really when we take our first, you know, sip of wine at the end of the day, and then you feel it, you know, your tail feathers start to shake as it goes down. But it's interesting because there's a side movement, and it is about the butt, okay? The butt and the hips and that swing.
And the feet.
Yeah, and the feet for sure. Take your shoes off, or, you know, then you go to Argentina and they got those big old high heels on. I'm like, dude, no way. But give me barefoot all the time. But
Yeah,
there's
I
this side
agree.
swing, and then there's that choppiness. So it's like your butt has to go swing to the side, and then it has to
One
go
way or the other.
right, or your
Yeah.
cheeks get to move. You know, it's like there's a talent to that rhythm, and it's about really feeling that groove and getting in it. And I think that is, you know, nowadays we have to do yoga and meditation, but I feel like if people did more of this kind of dance and really felt that rhythm, that's your other style. If you get monkey mind when you try to meditate, just go wiggy butt.
But it's free. It's it's got much more, like if you look at something like the waltz, it's so staid and offbeat, and I mean, you know, 3 beats instead of 4, and it's just like, watch what I say. There's a lot of beautiful waltzes, but they're just not that much fun to dance to.
Well, that's funny you say that, because that first piece, a time per piece.
Mm-hmm.
If you count it, it's actually 3. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. But I intentionally wanted my percussion and the rhythm of it to not imply the waltz of the 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
it
like the first beat's the heavy one, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
and on a top per piece, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and that was absolutely intentional. And I wanted that kind of urgency from the rhythm. I wanted it to be not this kind of light, you know, fluffy kind of a tempo. I really wanted it to have that strong and very, very, and you know, persistently kind of aggressive, more of an aggressive way of playing in a 3 beat meter kind of a tempo.
Well, I think that's what's so cool about how the guitar comes in and out. You know, it just kind of swoops and wraps itself around the different notes, and then the piano just keeps like you can feel like smoke billowing as it keeps progressing through. You know, it's like riding a horse, and all of a sudden you're galloping, man. But what's interesting, as you were explaining, you know, the different rhythms and everything, it occurs to me that one of the parts of jazz is with these different rhythms, that each rhythm actually is a melody. You know, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because
absolutely.
You can't really count it without it having some kind of melody.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting how that is. But so Ola de Calor, I love this song. Tell us about this, because I want to play it for everybody. Everybody's got to hear the piano, and you got the stand-up bass in this album too. You got so much going on.
That's my brother. That's my brother on the stand-up.
Power to your brother, man.
Lundy.
Yeah. Oh, do you know there's a note in the song still? And it's, you know, this is just this beautiful piece, and somber but beautiful, and then all of a sudden it kind of quiets, and then there's just this one boom, and I'm like, wow, that was that one bit. I can't even explain how that just it's amazing what one note can just
resonate like that. It just has such a powerful impact on the listener. Well, on Ola de Calor, I wanted to explore, I just, you know, I've never been to Havana, okay? But I have a strong kind of visceral, spiritual relationship that's unexplained. But it started out kind of as a joke, really, because, you know, I don't know about you ladies, but, you know, you get that phase where you're kind of having those hot flashes and things, you know?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't think, I prefaced it to make sure that so I thought, well, I'm having a heat wave, Havana. So then I thought, well, what if I could sing something or write something where I actually spoke 2 different languages in the same phrase? What if I tried doing something like that? uh, necesito Cuba Libre to cool me down. Bailando con mi sugar in Havana town. So I'm saying English and Spanish in the same line. So I wanted to, it was more like a little challenge, a little bit of an idea that I wanted to execute and see if I could really create this feeling and this energy and summon up this thing. And at the same time, really resonate something about the culture, which is why you get that cool acoustic bass in the back end that reminds you of Cachao. But the thing was, since I'm not Cuban, I'm an American. I'm born in the United States of America. So I didn't want to sing in a way that was ill-informed or to try to take ownership of a culture that I don't really, live. Yeah. So I thought, well, what if I just mixed the languages and then put a rhythm that was more an urban rhythm. So there's still that urban kind of American side of the groove, yet I'm singing in Spanish and English. So it was all those things. And then to use the back end of the song as a way to pay homage to those ancestral vibrations and spirits that are always apparent and always somewhere. If you're lucky, they find themselves in your music. They float up.
I love it. So let's play it for everyone. Ola de Calor. Here it is. Again, you can go to carmenlundy.com and go get it. Modern Ancestors.
I'm on fire, mi amor. Te adoro con mi corazón. I'm on fire, mi amor. Te adoro con mi corazón. Havana, 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 Havana. Havana, 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 heat wave. Havana, Havana, Havana. Havana, heat wave. Necesito Cuba Libre to cool me down. Bailando con mi sugar in Havana town. Ola de calor, bailando, gozando, having a heat wave. Bailando, gozando, bailando, gozando, having a heat wave. Ola de calor, besitos and mojitos in the heat of the night. Calling at the clave of your under delight. Ola de calor, ola de calor. I'm on fire, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, fire. I'm on fire, mi amor. Te adoro, te adoro, te adoro con mi corazón. I'm on fire, I'm on fire, I'm on fire, mi amor. Te adoro, mi corazón. Te adoro, mi corazón. To cool me down, kicking con mi socia in Havana town. Besitos and mojitos in the heat of the night, calling at the clave of your under delight. La rumbo son cubano y el cha-cha-cha, bailando con mi baby in Havana, Havana, Cuba. Ola de calor, ola de calor, ola de calor. Hola de calor. I'm on fire, I'm on fire, on fire. I'm on fire, mi amor. Te adoro, te adoro, te adoro. Te adoro conmigo. I'm on fire, I'm on fire. I'm on fire, mi amor. Te adoro con mi corazón. Need a cool baby to cool me down. Kick and call me so in a better town. El rumbo son cubano y el cha-cha-cha. Bailando con mi baby, bailando con mi baby in Havana, 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 Cuba. Oh yeah. I'm on fire. I'm on fire, mi amor. I'm on fire. Te adoro, te adoro, te adoro, te adoro, mi amor. Te adoro con mi corazón. Son cubano y el cha-cha-cha. Bailando con mi baby, bailando con mi baby in Havana, 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 Cuba. Necesito cool me down. Can call me so say in a better time. Hola de calor, hola de calor.
You're back with Big Blend Radio, and you just heard Ola de Calor again by Carmen-Lundy. She's sitting in with us today, having a great conversation about wiggy butts and and hot flashes.
Well,
you know,
I got to tell you, I will tell you, Hola de calor is Spanish for heat wave.
See?
So you know what we're saying in Spanish.
Yeah, Hola de Calor, and again off of the album, her brand new album, Modern Ancestors. You can go to carmenlundy.com and go get it there. And you know, this album, it's just all, you know, you've got like all the different roots in there for me. I feel that when I'm listening to it. Are you going to be touring with it? I know you've got your opening weekend when this airs, you know, in November, mid-November here. But are you going to be touring throughout the rest of the year?
Well, we're headed to San Francisco. This is actually my debut in San Francisco. I've sung in Oakland on several occasions, but never in the city of San Francisco. So we're looking forward to that. And then we'll come into New York. We'll play New York City at the Jazz Standard. We open on December 19. And in between that, we'll play in South Florida. We'll be in Delray Beach at the Arts Garage on December 14. And then after that, we'll head to Chicago. And I think London is calling. So, yeah, we're going to be touring.
Oh, very cool. London's always calling, man. Just ask the Clash. They know. Sorry, had to do that, you know. But so everyone keep up with Carmen on Twitter, Facebook, website, carmenlundy.com. But I wanted to close our conversation with a time for peace. And I think this is just and I love that you start your album with it, but I know with us, we're going to close our conversation with it, but I think it's something that we should focus on.
Yes. You know what? It's an interesting thing to sing about this idea of peace, but in a way that has this urgency and not some calm, serene sort of, easy listening vibe, because of the word peace. I really wanted the urgency, this feeling of our society. And I don't like thinking about society sort of coming undone, sort of like losing a sense of our humanity, our soul as a human, as a species. And there are a lot of things that are occurring in our midst that are counter everything that have to do with coexisting and just kind of seeing the other person as yourself, and not greater than or less than yourself, but just as yourself. And the way we're, kind of spoiling the environment. I have to say this. Sometimes I wonder if God is actually water, because nothing in life we can't even have life without it. And, if God is, then maybe it's more the environment they want. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the spiritual plane, but it's also the plane that grounds us, and I often wonder if we're kind of missing, really, sometimes we're kind of looking in the wrong direction for the things really galvanize our existence, our means of getting on through the day, and showing our young people that we bring into the world a place that we leave for them that it's intact and it's whole and not fragmented and in this kind of a signs of destruction all around us. So that song is another way of just calling attention to a matter of fact, day in, day out way of being a part of the world as we know it in life. Afterlife is a whole nother thing, and maybe that's where peace really is. I don't know. But
I hope they have cake over wherever we go.
Keiko? What's Keiko?
I want cake. I want cake wherever we go. I'm like, I don't know what happened, why I thought that, but it's, maybe it's a time for a piece of cake. I don't know, but I want that. There's just something about, that's another adventure to me. I think that's, we're going to have another, I don't know.
How about this? This is probably a terrible thing to say. Let's just say that, okay, we all have that belief we're going to go somewhere better, right? What if we trash it the same way we trashed this planet?
Oh my goodness.
Nancy, no cake for you. No cake for you.
No, but think about it. When do we learn to stop trashing where we are?
Right.
We always think we've got somewhere else to go so we can trash where we are, but wow.
Well,
see?
I live in Southern California, and we've been just inundated with, a windy afternoon turns into someone's home being destroyed, turned into ashes.
Yeah.
What about that in terms of trash? That you have to actually look around and see that everything that you've built and lived for is now essentially, ashes.
But that's a good point, because
Yeah.
it's terrible, and we've been through the fires. We're really, in a year and a half, we evacuated 7 times in a mountain town and watched things and friends, and just we've been through a lot of that kind of devastation. And I think now we travel full time, and we are pretty much possessionless. We have a teeny storage unit, gave everything away for the second time doing this. And having lived in different countries, you lose things. When you leave Africa, you lose things. So to me, at the end of the day, what are we building our lives for? And possession. So to me, it is about who we are and what we're carrying with us. It's not about the house. It's not about all that. I know it is for majority of people, but it's pretty darn freeing to not have all that.
We do. However, I will say this: we do require shelter.
Oh yes, we do.
Oh yeah,
that's why we like really good hotel rooms and Airbnbs.
But yeah, a time for peace is just, I don't know, it's my little observation, and it's I don't want to get too like heavily esoteric in my expression of it. I just I just one of those things where now I've lived long enough to have a sense of our history and how we get here, and the concern for me is where we're going now, not so much how we got here.
Yeah. It's exactly right. And I love there's a restlessness to it too. It's like you're getting to that part, A Time for Peace in the song. Everyone, we're going to play it now. We want to thank you for joining us again. Everyone, the album is Modern Ancestors. Go to carmenlundy.com. We want to thank the National Parks Arts Foundation for sponsoring our show today. They're an awesome organization that put artists of all genres and mediums in national park units across the country, where they get to create for a full month in a park like Hawaii Volcanoes National Park or Dry Tortugas. You get your own island. That's awesome in the Florida Keys for a month, where you can just create and hang out with turtles and palm trees and all that good stuff. So I encourage all artists, whether you're a filmmaker, a musician, a poet, a painter, pot maker, go to nationalparksartsfoundation.org. We want to thank you, audience, as always, for joining us. Keep up with us in our different shows at bigblendradio.com. But here it is, A Time for Peace. Thanks, Carmen.
And you two ladies are awesome yourselves. You keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
You too.
Crying, taking life to justify our powers. I have seen enough of hatred acted out on battlefields and towers. While the world just keeps on spinning, time to start a new beginning, a time for peace. Ever been a day without a war someplace in history? Everyone deserves the chance to live a life of joy and harmony. While the world just keeps on spinning, tomorrow starts a new beginning, a time for peace. Imagine all things possible. Believe we can live in peace. Imagine all things possible. As I'm living, I'm wishing for a peace in our lives.